What is up, everybody? Justin with the Roleska Podcast. I'm here with my co-host,
Tyler Boger. What's going on? And if you guys notice, we're a little different here. You can actually see my face because Justin's always taking the spotlight. So hi.
And we're here with Linda James with
gBeta, Anchorage.
There we go. Awesome. Well, first, thanks for coming on our show.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I know you're kind of like doing the whole startup thing in Anchorage.
Yeah.
And so wanted to get on because I know like there's all this interest about startups, right? And like what that even means and like what you guys do. And so I'm sure there's a lot of businesses out there who like don't even know you exist.
I'm sure. And we don't know they exist. And we want to know.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's like business owners, meet Linda. Linda, meet business owners.
Hello. Pleasure to meet you, business owners.
So I guess give us a little bit of I don't even think Tyler and I really 100% know what you do.
Before you got in the room, I was like, okay, can you give me like a little snippet of what you do? Because I have no idea.
Right.
No idea, which I'm going to have a lot of good questions. So if you had to give a 30-second pitch of what you do, let's hear it.
Yeah, I think probably the easiest way to describe it, it's a boot camp for startup founders, right? For entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a lot. And then you're like, oh, who's an entrepreneur? What kind of companies we work with? And there's all kinds of stuff. The sort of the formal definition is that it's a startup accelerator. So if you're aware of accelerators like Techstars, a Y Combinator, and you think in Silicon Valley and tech and stuff,
Right.
It's very much so like that in a way. We're doing it in Alaska. We're doing it for early stage companies, anywhere from like where they are, past idea stage, but maybe like building a minimum viable product,
Right.
all the way to like pre-scaling, I'll use another jargon, pre-Series A, like when you're
Right.
raising money, there's sort of stages that you raise money at, and kind of Series A is where you've sort of figured out that, okay, I know who my customer is more or less.
Right.
I know what the product is, and I know the interaction with them. Like I'm really providing a value. They call it a product market fit. So we fit somewhere in between there. So we really work with just so many different companies, pre-revenue, post-revenue, solo founders, just tech people, just business people, like really scientists, really just anybody.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you get these businesses, you jump in, you said Accelerator.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm guessing you guys provide like coaching, funding-ish, yes?
We introduce them to funding-ish.
Okay.
They're like the wingman of the...
Right.
Yeah.
We are. That's a good
So
way
like
to
a-
put
like
it.
a
We
hand
are
holder.
wingmen. We're kind of like, we become the extension of the founding team more or less during that time, right?
Okay.
And then even after the fact, then we have a
Right.
pretty robust like alumni management program to where we want to see you succeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
cool.
like it. Wingman. Ooh.
Yeah, she's my
Yeah.
wingman. I take
Seriously.
her out. She meets everybody and brings them back to me.
Yeah, I make introductions. That's exactly what it is. Yeah,
That's awesome.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's cool. Because, I mean, as entrepreneurs, right, and as a business owner, like it's not easy.
No.
No,
And you're almost, a lot of the time, kind of navigating it and sometimes with not great advice, right?
Yes, correct.
There's a lot of YouTube videos that people try to follow, and it's never actually
Right.
pretty accurate.
Yeah, they're
Besides
like-
this video, it's pretty good.
Right. And they're like, there's a guy that's making hundreds of $1 millions a year. He's like, just follow this simple formula. They're like, that's great in theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, how do I even get to my first dollar?
Right.
Right, exactly. And that first dollar a lot of times is the hardest. And
Right.
the companies that we work with tend to operate in a certain degree of uncertainty. That doesn't even make any sense. But they have a degree of uncertainty where it's not like a restaurant, right? Where you say, well, I'm gonna make this food, so I need these kinds of equipment. You can
Right.
get a loan for it. This is the building that I need. Like, I can pretty much write a business plan and ask for money from a bank.
Right.
For the companies that we work with, there's no such thing, right? Like
Right.
there is a degree of uncertainty, and therefore they can't necessarily just go and write out this business plan and it's just exactly how things are going to go. That's not what it is at all. So there's a lot of times that customer discovery that has to take place. What is actually the value that you're providing? And a lot of
Yeah.
times it's, pivoting and then depending on like just different accelerators in the country. I know, like I hear about Techstars, they'll take a company, they'll completely pivot to what they do. And
Right.
like there was one company, I think was Techstars 2011 cohort or 2013. They ended up with 3 unicorns or something like that. And one of them started with flower delivery, ended up doing
Right.
something completely different. So it's also about the team, right?
Yeah.
Because the team is really what executes on that idea. And
Right.
so that's kind of like all that. So we kind of gel that together. That makes sense.
Right. So essentially, you kind of attach yourself to the business owners, right, as like a secondary, almost like a contracted team that accelerates their business growth. Is that like a fair
Yeah,
definition?
that's a fair definition. And I guess, maybe like we can talk about too, like what are the main facets of gBeta, right?
Right.
Like if you guys want to get into that right now, you want to ask me questions about it, whatever the case may be.
So I guess the big one is like you're talking about like restaurants, and then what are some examples of businesses, like what type of businesses are you helping that you've helped?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've worked with like B2B tech companies that are like software as a service companies.
Right.
On an enterprise level and kind of a lower scale as well. We work with people who manufacture things, whether it's food, whether it's clothing. Let's see, we work with people who are providing some kind of a service maybe online, but it's a different kind of service and they're connecting a bunch of people together,
Right.
providing an innovative service. So those will be some examples without, naming specific companies,
Right,
which I
right.
also can do.
Yeah. I mean, well, you got a nice list online on your website.
We do, yeah. And I mean, like, it's companies anywhere from education, tutoring services, language learning services, scientists, like people working in
Right.
oil and gas and providing what he calls a digital twin of
Right.
your environment, just
Right.
honestly, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're talking about uncertainties, and
Yeah.
like you're saying, restaurants are pretty like cookie cutter. Like, okay, I'm gonna make pizza. I'm gonna be a pizza place. It's pretty easy to go out and find funding and do things like that. But I could see uncertainties with merch online and different things or manufacturing things. Like you don't know if you're gonna actually be able to sell this product. You don't know if people are gonna buy
sure.
it. So, loans. Are you not gonna go to a bank and be like, hey, I want to sell hoodies? And they're like, get out of here.
Yeah, and I've asked for a loan as a startup founder myself, and
Right.
was told no many times. So like I
Right.
know
Right.
this is how this game works.
Yeah. I mean, because they want to see like a plan. They want to see definitive numbers. Because I mean,
A lot of times assets.
they
Yeah.
want collateral on
Yeah.
top of it.
Collateral.
And sometimes,
Right.
you don't have that. Right.
Right.
And then, like we work with a commercial banker here in town, and he's like, the way to think of it is with commercial lending and startups and all that stuff is like, we can't collateralize products
Right.
because during the night you can completely just walk away with your product and there goes all of our collateral. Right. So there's a
Right.
certain amount of risk that a institution is willing to take.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And then there's like profitability. If you take out a loan, they need to expect that there's going to be some amount of profit so you can pay this thing back, right?
Yes.
With these companies, a lot of times what happens is they're sort of postured for growth. And they go for that in lieu of profitability in the
Right.
interim, in the short term. At some point, those lines intersect and they can make a lot of money.
Right.
And this is where risk capital comes in. This is where we talk about equity and angel capital and venture capital, right? So there's a lot more risk, a lot more potential for failure, but also a lot more potential for reward.
Right. It's all risk and reward, right? It's like,
So
What do I
that's
say,
it.
Justin? Scared money don't make money.
right.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
Scary money don't make money. We got a few sayings that we picked up just from
I love it.
reels and TikToks and just having people on the show, right?
Perfect.
And one thing we do get Justin talking about, we get a lot of entrepreneurs on the show, and one thing we always talk about, and it's like an ongoing thing, is just that risk versus reward. Essentially as an entrepreneur, a business owner, you are taking so much risk to actually be an entrepreneur. You don't have a steady paycheck. You don't have, go into your office, sit down,
Right.
and know you're going to get paid regardless of what you do. As an entrepreneur, you wake up, you're the one that's making sure you're getting paid and moving forward and building your company. So that
Right.
risk is huge, and you're hoping for a reward.
Yeah, and it's a roller coaster
Oh,
of a ride.
Yes, it is.
Some
Yeah.
days you feel elated, Some days you're super depressed, and sometimes it all happens within like 1 hour. It's like crazy.
Or just one phone call later, you're like,
Right, exactly.
okay, this is it.
Yeah.
I give up.
I'm actually a big fan of the, one of something can lead you to something else. Like one phone call, one this, one that. So yes, you could be.
It's true.
I'm phone call away from, a big no or whatever, or one phone call away from a big yes. And so
Yeah.
like that's.
I hope our agents are watching this right now.
I know, right? I literally preach this all the
You
time.
guys want to go through my accelerator?
I'm like, it sounds like the term that I keep using, which is performance-based opportunity.
That's weird.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, and that's exactly how like me growing up as more of an entrepreneurial spirit is like, you can just make a phone call. If they say no, make another one. You might connect
Yeah.
with that second phone call with somebody.
Some point you'll
that's
get a
gonna-
yes.
Exactly. So it's all about making connections, and just most of the time they're no until you hit that
Yeah.
one. That's like, yeah. You're like, perfect.
I
made
it. For sure. The other one that I like, and maybe this is like for your future podcast guests, is like there's a book called Articulate Executive, and he says 5 minutes in front of the right audience is worth more than a year behind your desk, right? And
Ooh,
so,
absolutely.
That
and I
is
just
huge.
like, oh my God, I
Yes.
believe that so much, and that's been true so much to me when I was a founder, and I try to teach that to people. And so, if somebody tells you you want to speak, or you have that opportunity,
Absolutely.
say yes.
100%. I mean, you're always selling something, right?
Right. Even yourself,
Life
just
is,
in general.
Life
Yeah.
is a negotiation.
Yeah, 100%. Like you're selling yourself, you're selling goods or services, right? I mean, whether it's dating or relationships or just meeting people or friendship or business, right? Like you're consistently doing some type of like sales.
Yeah, or even like attracting like-minded people. I mean,
Correct.
that's really a sale because
Right.
they want to hang out with like-minded people.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've talked about that quite a few times about just kind of like finding your tribe,
Oh my gosh.
finding your circle of like
Yes.
people that are going to help like embrace you and kind of help you grow.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people, and sometimes they're like some of our closest, friends and family that are like your worst, like people to, well, not clients, but just like
Confide in.
no, they're always like, why would you do that?
Oh, right.
Yes,
yes.
you're just, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And then sometimes, you find like these random people that just, that they were an acquaintance before, and then they kind of start seeing you, and all of a sudden, like they are your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah,
It's just weird.
I agree.
It is super weird. And that kind of brings up the point of like, if you want to go fast, do it alone. If you want to
Right.
go far, do it with a team.
And that's honestly, arguably for a lot of people, this is going to be the value of gBeta. I mean, there's lots of, I can make that arguably point about a lot of different facets of the program. But arguably, this is going to be like you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, right? And
100%,
so the bond that they get to make with their cohort is like amazing.
Of course.
Right.
It's amazing, right? And it's
Yeah.
these same people that are hungry for this kind of success.
Yeah.
And moreover, then they meet the alumni. So I
Right.
try to get them together, right? And this group just grows, and it's a great feeling for me. And I'm sure like I see them bonding, and it's just like, wow, that's really neat.
I mean, they're all entrepreneurs,
They're all entrepreneurs.
startup people,
Yeah.
same mindset or very
Yes.
similar,
Very similar, yeah.
right? I mean, you're surrounding yourself, and then of course they all have different backgrounds, different ideas. Really, it's a circle of people that are going to bring us a ton of life experience and value, and of course, like mindset of startup growth. Like, don't worry if this one phone call
Right.
sucks, but the next one might be great.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
so I think building that tribe is very important.
Yes.
You know what's really good with doing that? Social media.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like as
It's
in
impressive.
like a building just a tribe on social, or you mean just like bringing the right people to you?
Both.
Yeah.
In real estate in our line of work, I've got so many referrals through Instagram and Facebook and TikTok.
Oh, I love it.
So the content you post is attracting like-minded people, right?
Yes.
Those people that are liking your stuff or commenting are like engaged in your stuff because they might believe what you're saying or feel like-minded as you.
Yes.
I get people messaging me on Instagram all the time, like, hey, can you help my client? They're moving to Alaska. I really like your stuff. You look like you would be a good fit for my client. And you're just creating this huge digital community by posting things that other people will like.
Yeah.
So definitely social media is a huge way to expand your reach and your sphere of influence.
Yeah. So I guess podcasts are a part of that.
Yes, they are.
Podcasts, like the podcasts are part of it. Part of it was we just want to do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Justin likes being on camera.
Yeah. What was the idea behind this? I'm curious to know. As all new things that get started.
I mean, it's just like the idea of having a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And I like to just kind of push the envelope, at least in my profession, of like video and filming and doing all this stuff like that no other real estate brokerage or team does, right?
Yeah.
I think we're pretty well known for it now. Like people are like, oh yeah, Justin's doing all this cool shit again, but and then we initially thought like, oh, a real estate podcast about Anchorage real estate. But I'm like, man, there's so many podcasts about real estate, and
Right.
You could talk a lot about real estate. It's a vast world, right? But then we realized that we just came from the AEDC lunch today. So besides the chamber or the AEDC, there's not really anyone in town that promotes local business, period. And so I was like, man, how cool would it be? Because after growing a company for 3 years now and talking through COVID of all these business owners and their stories of like the ups and downs and how they started and doing all that stuff, I'm like, man, these guys all have incredible stories, and all anyone sees is like the outcome. They don't see the background or the struggles or anything else. I'm like, we should just do a podcast on local business.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that.
And it's just been huge. Like people have been like, oh my God, this is so cool to tell my story. Because, as you know,
Yeah.
startups on, starting a business, anything is not just like we say, rainbows and unicorns, right? It is a lot of struggle, to get to a point where like you're profitable, maintaining profit, like year over year growth or just steady profit, right? Is very challenging, which is why a lot of businesses fail in their first, 2-3 years, right?
And we look at like week over week kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Especially
We're
in the startup
like,
world.
yeah,
right?
we're going like month over month,
Yeah. So that was really the
where we
idea
live.
for this podcast.
Yeah.
And then another like takeaway that me and Justin talk to a lot of people all the time. Like he's talking about local businesses, entrepreneurs, anybody and everyone. And it's just a great way to get that on a platform to show other people our conversations. Like Justin had mentioned, we hear all these crazy stories from like zero to hero. And we're like, you need to tell this story. You need to let other people know. Like I was saying about, your sphere of influence on a digital market. Now people are like, holy cow, like I have that same thing going on right now. And now I can look up to, we just had Dan Newman, I'm going to use him. He's one of my buddies. Like Dan, for example, no one knew that Dan started where he did and look where he's at now. But now that he got on a podcast and he actually talked about it, they're like, wow, he built a pretty significant business out of his little dream.
Yeah. And all in Alaska too, I think it's, culture of startups, like we're growing that, but it's not, I guess it's just not, I don't even know what's the word. It's not emanating to the degree to like just get everybody understanding that we can start startups in Alaska. We like would love to see an IPO. Would love some of these bigger exits to come out of Alaska and really put us on the map. And there's really nothing stopping us from doing that. Like we have the inputs, and we do need a little bit of training. This is where gBeta comes in to really get people on the level playing field with some places like some of the coasts, right, where they're used to this kind of stuff there. They know what an accelerator is. This is what we need. We just give some training to our founders and then set them free to go after their dreams. And we can bring a lot of money back to the state because there's so much money in venture capital, probably more money than even the founders, right? Like everybody wants to fund an idea. There's a money bag with your name on it somewhere.
Right.
You just need to know how to go after it.
Yeah. Alaska is a rich state, right? There's a lot of money here. What I love about Alaska is 100% about a local business, right? So, really it's like once kind of we started talking, I'm like, okay, you work in startups, like what does that mean? That's what we talked about. I was like, dude, you have to come on our podcast and like talk about this because we get all these business people that listen to our podcast, right? And probably have no idea you guys even exist.
Right.
Or to even where to start, right? So I'm like, if they have someone that can like kind of hold their hand a little bit and like help them grow, right? And kind of
sure.
give them that roadmap, because I think that's, where a lot of people will struggle with, is really having that roadmap.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Lay it land roadmap,
Yeah.
getting some clarity, figuring out what's possible. Like those are all the things that I've heard as a feedback to,
Right.
what
Like-
happens like after gBeta.
Right. Like,
experience.
this sucks. Like, that's normal.
Right.
Totally
But-
normal.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like, but it
gosh.
gets better,
And it kind of goes back to that, like, being a W-2 employee, like they already have that roadmap. Like, hey, when you come into work today, you're going to work on X project, right?
Right.
But as an entrepreneur, you have an idea and you're like, I want to do this. I want to sell this commodity, right?
Yep.
But like, what do I have to do when I wake up in the morning to make sure I can continually sustain this business? And that's
It's a
essentially
different feeling.
yeah, essentially what you guys will be doing, like a roadmap to be like, okay, this is the things you need to implement to continue to sustain this business
Yeah, for sure.
and this idea. That's pretty
Yeah.
great.
I think it's a little overwhelming too. Like trying to, like, you could probably get from point A to point B, right? Like what the next step is. But you also have to be calculating like what your next 5-10 steps are, not just your
Yeah.
next step. Otherwise, you're never really preparing yourself for like potential, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think that's the
Yeah.
hardest part.
It's interesting you bring that up because I think when we think of entrepreneurs, it's like we want the grand vision, the big dreams, that kind of like ethereal type stuff, which is all fine and true. But you need to be able to think big but act small. And so how do you do that? Like, how do you go from where you are to this like giant dream that you have, right?
Yes.
And therein comes this thing called management that we all know, and maybe we even hate. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like,
What
but
is
you have to manage that process.
Yes.
You have to know how to move in these small chunks. We call it validated learning from the lean startup, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's sometimes you're like, oh man, maybe this is not super sexy, but you need to do that work. And just, staring at this sort of barrel by yourself, it's freaking overwhelming.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Absolutely
Yeah.
overwhelming.
I'm like, I haven't been there. I'm like, okay, how do I do this? I'm like,
It's so funny, and Justin's had for 3 years, like you said, and I've been essentially right hand for 2.5 years now, and some days he comes up with these ideas and he knows he can paint a picture to me perfectly, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, I don't know how we're going to get there. He's like, no, we're going to do it. I'm like, okay, but there's, like you said, you got to think big and manage small. And I'm like, where do we start with that idea? He's like, I don't know, but it's going to happen. That's essentially how the podcast started and things like that. Justin just comes up with these crazy ideas, and I'm like trying to manage small and help him. I'm like, it's overwhelming.
Wait, so I have a question for you guys. Okay, so I think I'm profiling over here. So have you guys ever read The E-Myth?
no.
It's called The Entrepreneur's Myth.
Okay.
In there, he talks about you kind of need 3 people or, 3 personalities in one. And you need the entrepreneur with a big dream, crazy, chasing this idea. You
Yep.
need the ops person to execute the thing, the manager. And you need a technician that knows the bolts, the ins and outs of this specific industry. Right?
Okay.
Who's who here? I mean,
I think him and I switch the idea in the bolt and technician role
do.
quite often.
Okay.
And I
okay.
think that's why our ideas always get I'll come up with an idea and Justin knows the tech side of it, how we do it. And then
Yeah.
he'll come up with an idea and he'll tell me because he knows I have the tech. And then we come up with these crazy ideas. We start getting everything rolling. I'm hammering out numbers and how we're going to do it. And then we ask Monique.
I
Okay,
love it.
can you put this in a procedure? And she's like,
Right, exactly.
No.
Can you operationalize this?
Yeah, so she does all our P&P and helps with operations and making sure we have some kind of roadmap to even
love it.
start doing that.
I love
Yep,
it.
that's her.
Awesome. Hi.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, it's funny. It's definitely true.
Yeah.
It's a really good book, by the way.
I'm
really,
thinking
really good book.
E-Myth.
E-Myth,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't think.
Add that
I'll add it to the library.
Yeah.
I actually have a book sitting at home. We have a library for my agents. So a lot
I
of
love it.
entrepreneur, leadership, time management, calendar management.
For how to do recon operations in the woods and land a helicopter, that kind of.
No, that's
ops
just
and-
naturally in the brain. No, I'm just kidding.
So talking about the dreamer and the tech behind that. So that was my idea. We came up with this. I got this listing, the one that was on the video, and I told Justin, and I was like, we should land a helicopter in the yard. And Justin's like, what? And I was like, And then Top Gun comes out, and I'm like, I have an idea. And so Justin does the technical behind it, getting everything set up, getting the videographer on board, and getting everybody's kind of set up.
Oh, he was fully on board.
I was 100%. As soon like the whole idea behind it was like my vision as I'm standing on these people's deck. I'm like looking, and I was like, you can land a helicopter there. And then after this, I called Justin and I was like, hey, so I told these people we're going to land a helicopter in their yard. And he's like, what? And I was like, no, it's going to be really cool. And he's like, all right, I think that would work. And we start bouncing ideas off. And next thing you know, Justin's like handing me scripts and like writing things down. We're like conforming this.
I love it.
Yes. That was a wild video. That went completely different direction than I had envisioned in my head, but it turned out really cool.
I think that's a lot of people were expecting probably a little bit more real estate-ishness in there. But what they got was this completely hilarious
video of
video.
Us just being us.
Yes.
That was a beautiful house, too.
It's a very nice house.
Thank you.
Yes. I think even the owners were like, it's not exactly where we expected that to go,
But it's awesome.
but it's great.
Yeah, yeah.
That tortilla, I think, at the very end was a complete add-on. Sometimes you just have to roll and just like kind of plan out different things. So and that was a good job. But
Yeah.
I watch a lot of TikTok, so I was like, yo, we got to do the tortilla challenge in this video. We missed the boat for the Top Gun release, so let's just add some more stuff in there. Yeah.
So, as far as like your businesses, just trying to get back on topic here.
Sorry. I got excited.
So with the businesses, so like how many businesses do you typically try to take on per year?
Yeah, so we do 2 cohorts per year, 5 businesses with each.
So 10.
So 10 total. And we do a lot of one-on-ones. We're like a concierge model, so we won't do more than 5 just because like, you know, like they get accelerated, I get accelerated as well, trust me.
Right.
Like, so it ends up being like this, you know, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good. I love it. Right. So it's 10 total. Yeah. And that's in 2 different cohorts. Usually it's spring, fall. Just kind of try to, you know, stay away from the summer in Alaska, stay away from the big holidays in the winter, that kind of thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Summer in Alaska is just challenging in general.
It's challenging.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't wait, by the way, to like introduce you guys to more. I know you've interviewed Megan with Elevated Oats, but like there's 14 others that are waiting to meet you.
Matt as well.
Yeah, send them over.
Which one? Oh, Hike Alaska.
Yes.
So we are together in the boardroom. We're co-working, but he hasn't gone to the accelerator.
Oh, really?
But he's a big supporter. Yes.
Maybe that's where he.
That's what
I
it
think
is.
Maybe
Yes,
that's
I
where
like Matt.
I had touch base. Yeah, Matt and I have been friends. I think he was actually like, was he our number 1? Was he our first one?
No. Was he? I'm sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I think he might have been number 1.
All right, Matt's number 1. I don't remember.
Go, Matt.
Just say number 1. Yeah.
I don't know, like number 1 or number 2, somewhere. Yeah.
I thought Iron Dog was number 1 the pre-race. Anyways,
I don't know.
back to what we were talking about. No, yeah, we had Megan on the other day, and that was a lot of fun. It's definitely like to see her product grow. And after that, I started following her on all the social media, and it's a hoot to watch her like go to her different stores and doing the different little spots. And
Did she bring some samples for you guys?
Oh,
yes.
we ate a lot.
Yeah, we crushed some granola.
Actually, I need to text her because she put out that rhubarb crisp.
Yes,
granola.
I know. I saw that. I haven't tried it yet.
Try that, Megan.
Megan, if you're listening
Yes,
to this, I have not tried it yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she's got an awesome deal for like Airbnbs and stuff too for like the little sampler things for like guests and whatnot. So
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
Might have to kind of do that as like a Alaska touch, you know.
For sure. And
She does. Did she tell you guys about the hiking thing that she does?
She did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's been doing it now for a year, and like in August we're gonna do the 1-year anniversary hike back to Flat Top. So maybe some special, you know, I don't know, celebration.
That's awesome.
On the summit.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, she'll text me and be like, "You want to go on a hike? You want to go for a bike?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so busy." But yeah, I definitely, like I said, watching her TikTok and social media, there's a lot of people that go on those monthly hikes with her, and the whole
Yes.
like
It's
great.
been growing, and you get to meet awesome people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. And that's just so cool with like local business owners. They're like thinking outside the box of like how to network and grow.
Yeah.
Like I watched one of her videos and there was like 50 people hiking with them.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're a lifestyle brand, this is sort of like
And that's-
how, right? You
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
big
know.
time.
You kind of have to know what your
Well,
identity is, so that
be in
so
that
you
lifestyle.
can set up your marketing just right, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's awesome.
Yes, I mean, from our interview, it sounded like they've been working with that and nailing it down, right? Like different packaging and looks and styles and doing all this stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, but as a business owner, like that, you're constantly trying to R&D things to, grow and find your
you're
niche
evolving,
and find your spot.
and if you do gBeta, we're gonna try to push you out of the nest as soon as possible to get you out there.
Right.
Because there's just no such thing really as a perfection when you first get started.
Nope.
And the last thing you want to do is try to get it right and then be very disappointed.
Yeah.
I should do the program with my fat truck business.
Yeah.
Fat truck.
Oh, that's an
Okay,
whole.
give me an elevator pitch.
Oh,
There you go.
It's the most versatile utility vehicle in the United States. It's amphibious. It'll go in mud. It'll go in water. It'll go anywhere and everywhere. It's about the size of a tank. And so what I want to do is offer a service for rentals, like guided trips, like take people out and see the glaciers and do things like that. Also offer it to vendors like search and rescue to help with different search and rescue, forestry to help fight fires. Essentially, it's just a vehicle that I'm willing to rent out to different consumers to help with whatever they're trying to do. So like remote cabins, building, things like that, and then also offer like my service to go take people on these cool little trips around Alaska
As a pickup bed.
Okay.
as a pickup bed.
As-
Yeah,
Do you have it constructed? Like, what's the?
yeah, I own it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I have one.
Is it a custom made? What? how
No,
did
so
you-
Zeal
what is
Motor,
it?
it's made in Canada. We can go. Might take a while, but the first one.
Elevator pitch. It's a.
This is,
Elevator.
We're going up the Eiffel Tower.
Oh,
I mean, it's just
yeah, we're just going straight to the top. It was made by Zeal Motors in Canada. They manufacture them and then they distribute them. And I picked one up, and that was kind of like the business I wanted to go with.
I see.
Is show everybody Alaska from the eyes of a fat truck.
So service business. Okay.
Yep.
I love it. Well, there's somebody that I was just talking to the other day that is working on an Alaska tourism type tech company. He already has a lot of kind of people engaged, just needs to monetize. So
Nice.
I can introduce you guys.
That'd be
I won't
great.
say it on air,
Yeah.
but I'll.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
It costs a pretty penny, and it's now just turned into a big toy because I'm busy
Right.
with other things.
Oh, you just told him that he can probably lowball you.
That's fine. At this point, any money's better than no money. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I still need to go take a ride in it.
Yeah, we're always so busy.
Yeah.
Yep. No, but I definitely think startups in Alaska is a huge thing. There's so many ideas. As just in this room, I can come up with 15 different businesses in
sure.
Alaska, because Alaska being so big, right? There's so many different niches in Alaska that there's businesses that aren't being represented that should be.
Yeah.
And it just takes
sure.
that special person to be like, hey, I'm gonna do this here.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, we'll work with companies that can really provide that service or a product or whatever it is outside of Alaska as well. For them, a lot of times, the go-to-market strategy is in Alaska because they're here. They know how the economy works. They have the support group here, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, that like their market will be, U.S.-wide or even global.
Right.
And specifically when we're trying to make the equation work for venture capital, if that's where they're going, which, by the way, we're not going to force them to raise money. I know sometimes people, I think this is what gBeta is for, but no, we will not force you to raise money, and you don't have to be needing to raise money at the time going through the program. But kind of for venture capital to make sense is sort of like the rule of thumb is you want your market size, or at least at some point, to be at least $1 billion. And the way to sort of calculate that is like, okay, if I'm selling, this pen or whatever the case may be, and the pen costs $10, how many customers in the United States do I need to have to make $1 billion, right? So it's kind of a bottom-up approach. Your specific customers, not just like saying, well,
Just
the pen
anyone.
market or the
Right.
writing utensil market in the United States is, I don't know, $4 billion, whatever it is. So if I only take 10% of that, like, that's not the way we normally want to think about it. We
Right.
want to do kind of a bottom-up analysis. So just something to consider.
Yeah.
Do you guys work with the SBDC much?
So we definitely engage with them. We actually talking in there with their advisors this Friday.
Nice.
Very cool.
So they know about gBeta.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, John Bittner is a big, he's the director of the Alaska SBDC. He's a big supporter for startups. He's been in the startup ecosystem forever.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're getting SSBCI money, so we're engaged with them with that. And, so engaging with them, getting referrals from them, telling them what gBeta is all about, and hopefully we can refer back and forth, because sometimes we'll work with a company, maybe they're not the right fit, but I'll send them to whether it's SBDC or to Upstart Alpha or to a couple other different places where they could get help, and then maybe come back to gBeta if it's the right time for them, or not. Maybe they're on a different trajectory, which is fine as well.
Yeah, they do cool work over there. I've chatted with them a few different times.
I was a client before with my previous startup, so
yeah, awesome. Yeah, and it's it's all grant funded, so it's kind of nice to have some type of beyond gBeta, right?
For sure,
some type of help from
someone.
Of
course, yeah. I mean, their niche is small businesses. This is they have very specific things that they can help you with and connect you to, and even gBeta companies can absolutely benefit from SBDC because again, it has to do with how do you establish your go-to-market strategies, even things like, finances, which we don't necessarily teach, we can, but so yeah, it's completely complementary.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
100%.
Yeah, and then I guess one of their advisors used to be a commercial banker, so he kind of helps advise on how to formulate your, future profit and loss, and kind of paint the picture of what that's going to look like to get either SBA funding or go to a bank and ask for funding and that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's one of the scariest parts of okay, put together a packet. You're like, of what?
Yeah. Some of these listeners what's a P&L?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even some business owners probably don't understand what a full P&L or whatnot.
Sure.
So it's having that as a it's kind of like a tool, right?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, because the thing is, you don't know whether you need to bootstrap or whether you need to ask for debt or whether you need to talk to an angel investor, and something that gBeta helps you figure out, and also SBDC as well, right?
Yeah.
And you really need to be able to have an understanding from all of these players involved as to what's the right capital for you, and where, depending on where you're going, where you are right now, what exactly is that you're trying to finance.
Yeah. So as far as finance stuff goes, I mean, you guys, I know I had talked about the angel investing stuff along with kind of seed money investment. So is that, you guys also run that, or is that completely separate?
So I think you're talking about the Alaska Angel Conference.
Yeah, don't you do something with that as well?
So for the last 2 years, I've been an investor in the Alaska Angel Conference and have led the due diligence on one of the teams.
Right.
But the way it works, so anybody in Alaska can participate in the Alaska Angel Conference. Normally, to invest into a startup, you have to be an accredited investor.
Right.
Okay, which means you have to make so much money or have so much net worth.
Yeah.
However, because of the Jobs Act in Alaska, there is a provision basically that says that you can invest, and I want to say it's up to $10,000 as a non-accredited investor, but you have to be sort of supervised. Maybe that's not the right word, but guided by a sophisticated investor. I believe that's sort of how the language. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. And so what we do is we have a bunch of people. They put money together, and it's $5,000 per unit. Buys you basically one vote. You can buy up to 2 votes. If you're accredited, of course, you can put more money into this thing. So we pull it together as a fund every year. So we establish it's an LLC essentially. Money goes into a fund. We recruit a bunch of startups. They pitch, we do due diligence of them, which means we just look at a bunch of different things, ask them a bunch of different questions, look at all kinds of things, customers and traction and legal and growth projections and a bunch of different things. And we pick one
Is this
to
like
get that
Shark Tank
investment.
in Alaska?
It's sort of kind of, yeah. But it's each one of us is it's $5,000 that you're investing.
Right.
But the benefit is you learn how to be an angel investor, and you start to understand what are the things that matter, because it's completely unlike other investment.
Right.
Not like real estate, not like anything else.
Yeah.
But it's really neat because you get to work with some amazing people who are other investors. You would never think these people are angel investors. and also startup founders, which are normally like, I mean, you'll be blown away by these people. I pretty much guarantee.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
How do I get? I want to do this.
So next year, it's going to be administered by the Juneau Economic Development, JDC Corporation, I think it's called. And it'll be in the spring.
Okay.
Right. I think I saw March. Was it March or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So there'll be some informational sessions leading up to it. But if you guys search for Alaska Angel Conference, there's information there for entrepreneurs or for actual investors who want to participate.
Cool.
And you can even be more passive, you know, if you don't want to attend the meetings, but you still want to contribute some cash towards startups. Okay, that's cool. You can be more active.
Right.
Once you kind of get a hang of it, you can lead a due diligence team, which normally means that like you're the lead, you maybe have a couple more members, and every week you meet with the founder, you get them to kind of build they call it data room. There's a bunch of things that you want to see in there, everything, like I said, from legal to customers to
That's pretty cool.
whatnot.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're looking at being an angel investor,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, the Angel Conference.
Alaska Angel
Alaska Angel
Conference.
Conference. I forgot
Yes.
the Alaska part attached to that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
most states don't have this.
Right.
So we're kind of lucky in that we get to do this. We get to build this kind of ecosystem and really participate in this kind of growth.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, like, yeah, because that's such a hard part of starting a business. Sometimes it's like you have a great idea,
Yeah.
upfront capital
Not so
is
great.
challenging.
Yeah, for sure. And for entrepreneurs, I mean, such a huge benefit because they get to go through this process, see what matters to an investor, and one will get a yes. Okay, like a lot of times you go to talk to investors and you may get a, you know, you may not
Maybe.
get a yes, you may get a maybe. Yeah, exactly. You don't know what the outcome,
Right.
but like you have pretty freaking good odds of getting 100,000 plus.
Dang.
And even if you're not the chosen one,
Right.
a lot of times
You
there's
are the
like
chosen one.
what they call a sidecar investment that happens. Like somebody else likes this other company a lot, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna make a deal on the side. Awesome. We've just deployed more money in the community for this community to grow.
Well,
Right.
exactly.
Love it.
And you go do the Alaska Angel Conference and you pitch your idea, and somebody in the back might be listening and be like, "Hey, I need to talk to you."
Oh,
Like,
100%.
so essentially,
Yeah.
you're not the chosen one, but you
Right.
pitched your idea. Somebody that might be an investor already might have a group of people like, "Hey, we actually want to invest in your company. Like, come talk to us." So that's I mean, like you said, anytime
Yeah.
you get an opportunity to talk, somebody might pick you up. So
Well, I'm sure the education, I mean, just not even that, but I'm sure like the education aspect of it is probably massive for these like entrepreneurs,
Right.
Yeah.
like startups, you know.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
If they weren't the chosen one,
that's my
The
favorite
chosen
word.
one.
from
The chosen
the
one,
chosen
yes.
one.
the chosen one. You know, but still the education behind it of kind of like what people look for. And I'm sure they'd probably get a ton of advice during the conference as well.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of conversations happen and networking and referrals of stuff. I mean, like I can probably see the impact of it. It's pretty massive on the education front.
For sure. And like this last time around, you know, I had to be like, okay, putting my gBeta hat on. Here we go. Putting my investor hat on. Because as you can imagine, there were gBeta companies that would participate in this thing. And so it was really
Yeah, it's-
interesting
you're
Right.
to be on like both sides of the,
Right.
you know. But the nice thing is like, I mean, I'm putting in 5,000, you know, that stake is like, it's minimal, right? So I'm not in conflict with these founders, even as an investor.
Right.
Right.
Not at all. And especially, and just in general, angel investors are, you know, more aligned, even in a longer term, with entrepreneurs. So
Right.
Right.
it's neat.
Right.
No, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. So you guys gonna do it?
Alaska Angel Invest in Conference. Alaska
Alaska Angel
Angel
Conference.
Conference.
I know it's kind of a mouthful. I think so. San Diego has that, and I believe Seattle has that. I'm not sure of others, honestly.
Wouldn't it be crazy to go to one in Seattle and Jeff Bezos is there? You're like, whoa. I want to talk to that guy.
Hey, listen, our goal is Elon Musk. Okay.
Yeah, Elon.
Okay. If he's listening,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure he's probably has our last episode on his headphones somewhere, you know,
Yeah.
just think of his next rocket.
Trying to go to Mars.
Right.
Listen to Justin's voice.
very soothing as he
Yeah.
flies up there.
Yeah. He's like, okay, it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah. No, that's really cool though. That's definitely a great resource for entrepreneurs to network, essentially. Even if you're not, like I said, the chosen one, it's a great networking.
Yeah.
Well, network for the investors as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, especially if you're still like of working age and you're connecting with a bunch of people, you know, like these people are going to need homes, right? At some point in time. And
everybody
so like
needs homes.
everybody needs homes, right? One of the, in the hierarchy of needs, right? Shelter. So
Yeah, we just went straight to the top. We're like, let's just sell homes.
Everybody
Bam. Needs it. Yeah. It wasn't really thought out.
Well, cool. That's yeah. So that's super rad. That's what like I wanted to get on and obviously get some more explanation of kind of like what you did,
yes.
like who you could help.
Yes.
So we use this in BNI all the time, and it is who is probably, if I was to refer a business to gBeta, who would probably be like your like number one business, like the business that you could probably help the most.
Wait, say that again. If you were refer a business to gBeta.
Yeah, correct. Like what was typically like a business that you want to see come in the door?
Good question. Let's see. Well, somebody probably either making something new, you know, uncertain about who the customer is, just basically somebody with high degree of uncertainty and looking at a large market size.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it would help if they had a little bit of traction, meaning that traction is kind of a big word
Right.
that means a lot of different things. The most important one is revenue, at least in the early stages. But it could be like customer signups, you know, customers using something for free. So some kind of engagement with the product.
Right.
Like if you have that already, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's probably, you know, a great start. But again, like we work with a company that sort of is kind of reinventing themselves. They've been around for many years and they were great to work with. Like literally great and amazing, and they're doing something new and they're getting more into tech and they're looking more into recurring revenue and things like that, which is sort of like, you know, the buzzword for a lot of the tech stuff. So they work as well. I mean, honestly, like it's just, the program is kind of versatile, and so it's hard for me to be like, this is the kind of business, because I don't want to divert other businesses from applying.
Yeah.
So I would encourage all of them to apply.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you kind of could take almost any business. Like,
But before that, like
just
big
kinda-
scale up, you know, before you really start to scale.
Right.
And scaling to me is like, if you think about a multiply button, you're going to press on the multiply button, but you have to multiply something first. Something where people are already interacting with you. You already have revenue. You know what I mean? You're not scaling before you figured out the small portion of things. So somebody that in pre-scale with a large market, addressable market,
yeah.
US wide, global, whatever, like that's
Right.
an ideal company.
Okay. Are you guys full for this fall's?
So we're recruiting right now.
Okay. Recruit right now. Ooh,
You
so
heard it
good
here.
time.
You heard it here live.
Email me, linda@generator.com. It's an 8 instead of an A. I know it's kind of
Okay.
funny, but if you look up gBeta Anchorage, it'll
it.
pop up. So
We'll throw it on our channel and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So,
link it.
yeah. So
You got
email, is there like a phone? You guys have a phone number that somebody can get a hold of as well?
yep, it's just my cell, and they can actually set up a virtual office hour with me
Okay.
to chat, or just call me. A little bit easier to set up a office hour, just because I get a lot of stuff on my calendar booked that way. But yeah, or coffee if you're in Anchorage, or if you're going to be in Anchorage. I meet people for coffee all the time. Establish a relationship. You know, even if you don't think you're right for this cohort right now, you want to do a later one. Let's get you to apply so that you have the benefit of writing this stuff down, and then showing progress, and then you know apply next time around as well. That's probably one of the key ways to get into an accelerator, whether it's Techstars or somebody else. That build a relationship with a managing director.
Right.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
just like everything else. I mean, surprise, surprise.
Right.
Just are you starting a new business or what?
No, I'm just you know, in case someone was listening and wants to like, you know, go in.
He's gonna tell me in 15 minutes. Hey,
Like, so what do you
should
think?
yeah, we should do this.
He's gonna lease your truck.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you what. We'll make a deal.
I'm gonna put it on a Craigslist for 20 grand, trades only.
You're gonna put a rap on it. I think you're really big on raps.
Raps.
Yeah.
That's gonna be our next video. It's gonna be a rap.
Yeah.
Parody.
Rap parody.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. But I think you're thinking a different rap
Different kind of rap,
with the dubs.
but yes, but play on words is allowed, of course.
Yeah. Yes. Are you ready for the question?
Oh man, was it the one that you kind of told me about?
I guess I can give you the quick like, hey,
preview.
heads up.
And you said think about it, but like I'm thinking about other things. You're asking me other things, so yeah, I didn't like think about it at all. Just so you know.
5 things that you would tell an entrepreneur.
Yeah, 5 tips for an entrepreneur.
Okay, 5 tips. Let's see. So first, be super action oriented.
That's a good one.
Action oriented, and and maybe I don't know if this is number 2 or not. Hang on, I'll decide if this is number 2. If this is like a sub bullet.
okay.
She's
I
full
don't-
of them now. She's like, I'm not sure if this
Well,
is
no,
2 or
no.
1. Let me think about it.
But one is like, start talking about your idea early and often with people. People are not, lots of people have ideas, right? Execution is that hard part, and it's that part of the but to be biased towards execution, but engage with people early, often. Engage, take the information, go back in, and it's sort of this like rhythm, right? It's like a heartbeat that ends up happening of what you have to do, again, early and often. Talk to your potential customers, would be another one. Early and often. Especially when people start paying you, these are the people that you want to pay attention to the
Yeah, you want to talk to those
most.
people quite a bit.
Yes, because there are, and again, like it's good to talk to mentors and investors and everything else, but you could have that sort of whiplash, like one person said this, one person said that. But when you start to get a trend of your customers, these are the people that will lead you to sort of the promised land.
Right.
So you want to be talking to them. How many is that?
7.
Oh man,
I think I
some
pulled
fuzzy math in here.
Yeah, I think I pulled.
Speaking of P&L and
Yeah.
accounting.
I think I pulled 3 out.
I pulled 3 out of there.
3. Dose
Okay.
more? You got 2 more?
Okay, 2 more. Yes. So I'd say surround yourself with the right people to do this. Whether it's people that are also entrepreneurs or just on the same level, hungry for goals. They're moving places, or they're just kind of vibrating at a higher level where they will help you succeed, and you're just gonna have that much more level of awareness about where you need to go. Surround yourself with the right people. Again, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with.
Goal and action oriented.
Yes, for sure.
If
Let's
you're
see.
the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
I do like that one.
Right, yeah. And the last one would probably be get your whatever you can, the smallest thing that you can make, even if it's not perfect, start getting it in front of customers and get feedback early from them right away. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for quote unquote launch day. It depends on an industry. Okay, there's some caveats that I'm making, but more often than not, it's better to get that out there sooner than later.
Right.
And then iterate from there.
Kind of get that feedback, initial feedback, and then
For sure.
version 2, version 3, version 4 kind of deal.
In some industries, medical,
Right.
some finance stuff, it doesn't quite work out like that. But there's still other strategies. That's still sort of the mindset, right? Like, so that's the idea.
Yeah. I can imagine medical. You're like, did this work? Nope. Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Oh.
Try
Right.
again.
Yeah.
Try again. Going back to the drawing boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then go through gBeta.
Yes.
Right.
That's
Sub bullet for something.
That's number
one
6.
of them.
Yeah. Yes. 6. See, you gave us 6 nuggets.
There's so
Look
much
at that.
advice to give.
I know.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think we've ever had anyone not give 5.
They always give more.
Yeah. I think it's 5 plus.
You got more?
Oh, you guys didn't tell me that. I was like, I have to have.
That was the setup.
The rest is come talk to me at a virtual chat. More,
There you go.
more
Or
advice
coffee.
there. Or coffee.
Yes.
And you said how they can get a hold of you was you guys got a website, right?
So, yep, there's website and my name is on there. My Calendly is on there, or email me.
What's the
And
website?
So it's probably the easiest way to find it is just Google gBeta Anchorage. But I work for a company called Accelerator.
Okay.
We are a venture capital company. So we have accelerators where we invest into companies.
Mm-hmm.
gBeta is not an accelerator that we invest, but that also means we don't take any equity. So it's actually free to founders. I like literally free.
Nice.
Doesn't mean it's going to be easy and doesn't mean it's not going to be worth your while. I promise. Because somebody is paying for it.
Right.
It's not the founder.
Gotcha. Okay. Understandable.
'Kay.
Well, do you want to give a quick shout out to anybody or anything?
A shout out. Oh, yeah.
Your fans or
My fans. Yeah. Elon.
yeah, Elon. Shout out Elon.
There you go, Elon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, shout out to Alaska Startup Alliance and all the people that are part of that. The Alaska Angel Conference, Launch Alaska, let's see, 49 State Angel Fund, SBDC, Upstart Alpha Accelerator, we're at UAA. So all these people, they've been amazing to work with. They're kind of part of the tribe of gBeta, and we refer people to each other all day long, and we talk to each other, and we strategize and all that good stuff, and we
Nice.
have a good time. So
That's
yeah,
quite the
thank
list.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thanks for
Awesome.
coming on. We definitely appreciate to have you come on and like explain this. So
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah. All right,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
See ya.